Hello. Sorry. Like I already have a frog in my throat. Sorry. Fix my camera. Hello. My name's Keith. I am the meditation teacher here on this channel, Meditation Breaks. Welcome. If you are new, happy to have you for the first time. If you're coming back, happy to have you back. On this channel, we learn how to meditate, and we specifically try to focus on hey, Linda, a lot of different methods of meditation that are applicable to our modern day life. So we might come into this thinking, well, meditation is, me sitting down or whatever, with my eyes closed or whatever. But meditation is it's wider than just that, which is great for us because it means we can start to get creative about how we bring this really beneficial practice into our daily life without making ourselves feel overwhelmed by adding new things and stuff like that, right? Hey, Georgette. So each week we have a different topic that we will cover. And this week we're going to do our topic is going to be about kind of like finding your sweet spot, your meditation sweet spot. Really what's going on here is we're trying to have you find the core reasons why you want to be here and facilitate some ideas about how you can get there to personalize your meditation experience, right? Cool. Hey, Janice. Hey, Cynthia. I'm glad you guys are here. Okay, so if you're like, well, cool, but I have never meditated, so how do I do that first? Do not worry. We always go over meditation 101, I guess, something like you call it like that. So we'll start with that. We'll introduce what is this meditation thing? How do we do it? Does it work? Why does it work? How does it work? And then we're going to do a short breathing meditation together. You probably heard about breathing meditation. It's probably the most common foray into meditation these days. So we're going to do a very short one, going like 5 minutes or so, together, and then after that we'll talk about our topic and do another meditation afterwards. All right. So last thing I'll say before I continue talking, hey Rosa, is if you do have any questions, you can use the chat feature here to ask them. You can see some people already using it. You don't have to wait for me to say, does anyone have any questions? Like, feel free to have this be kind of like an open dialogue. If you do have a question, I usually try to do my best to notice them. And as soon as I do, I'll do my best to answer. If you do not want to use the chat feature, or you think of something after the class is over, I'll also give everyone my email, so you can email me anything that comes up if you have any questions as you start to try to do this stuff on your own. Cool? Okay. So, immediately when I say meditation, each one of us, myself included, has an image of what this is. I'll call this our generic image. You have generic images of many things. Like if I were to say, picture an apple, we all, like, our mind pictures an apple, happens really fast, so we don't even really notice that it's happening. And each one of us pictures an apple, might be slightly different here and there, but generally an apple. When we think about meditation, all of us usually gravitate to this one image, and that is of somebody sitting down, cross-legged on the floor. Their eyes are closed. They look very peaceful. Maybe their hands are like this or whatnot. This is kind of the ubiquitous generic image of meditation. And sitting down with your legs crossed and whatnot is a very formal way to meditate. But that is not, at least in my opinion, meditation. Meditation is not a seating position. And while there may be benefits to orienting your body in a specific way for like alertness and stuff. Meditation is something that's a lot deeper than a strict, you sit like this, right? It's not like if I don't sit, it can't work, essentially, right? So on this channel, I like to put forth the definition of meditation as a technique that you can train in and use to become really familiar with something. Sounds vague. And, part of that is true because meditation can be really used for almost anything you want. I can't think of anything it can't be really used for that you want to start to become familiar with. And this idea of familiarization, maybe you're like, what the heck is that? What's so important about that? Hey, Patricia. Familiarization is something that is extremely important and prevalent in our life, and we don't really think about it that much. Right? So, particularly with like mental familiarity, it's not something that we don't go around being like, I'm familiarizing my mind with how to bake a pie, but if we're learning to bake a pie, that's exactly what's happening. So we can look at something physical familiarity to start to see how being really familiar with something impacts our life. Like, what's the output of that? And then we can start to see, oh, well, maybe if I can extrapolate that into like mental familiarity, I start to understand why meditation has a lot of potential in your life. Right? So let's think about something that you're really familiar with. I was going to say baking a pie, but I'm not familiar with that. I gotta be honest with you guys. I have one. I have here a delicious bubbly sparkling water, and you see it has this little pop tap on. What is this called? Tab? All cans have those, and we know how to open them, right? Satisfying sound. We all, if someone hands us a can of soda or something like that, we're not like, how do I get into this thing? We're like, oh yeah, here's a tap. And away we go, enjoying whatever beverage this is. We have become so familiar with the mechanics of opening a can in this way that we don't have to like think about it, right? We don't have to be like, oh, am I gonna open this thing? Gotta make sure I get my finger under that tab, and like we just do it, right? When you were born, you were not born with the knowledge of how to open up cans. I mean, unless you're, I don't know, can prodigy or something, right? Like we were. Oh, Bubba's the best. I'm not sponsored by Bubby. I wish. You were not born with this kind of the adeptness of opening a cans, right? And I can't remember the first time I was presented with a can. It's weird. I feel like I wish I could remember because it'd probably be hilarious because I'd probably looking at it like, now what? Right? This is not something that is like innate to us, right? We don't know how to do it. And then maybe the first time we see someone do it, we're like try to pry it up and like maybe we break it. You ever break the tab off, right? Pull too hard. All of the mechanics involved in opening a can in this way were learned. They were unfamiliar and thus required a certain higher level of concentration, understanding. You have to pay attention to the mechanics of how to do this thing. And then what happens? We've been opening up a lot of cans in our life. And here we are, whatever age. Wish we had a tally to see who opened the most cans. We're all experts. We're all super familiar with opening a can. And the output of this is that this activity, which once required a certain level of concentration, a fair amount, right? Even, and even before that, we had no idea what a can even was. Somebody hands us this, we instinctively know what to do. We don't have to stop what we're doing to think about it. We just do it while we continue talking. We're experts. So familiarity operates in this way across everything in your life. The output of familiarity, being really familiar with something, is that thing starts to show up more regularly, requires less concentration. It doesn't, it kind of like second nature. Right? So this is an interesting thing to kind of realize about how our mind works, because the same is true for mental familiarity, right? So if we think about something, most people get into meditation to relax, and we might think, well, meditation relaxes me. When I meditate, I'm relaxed. Meditation equals relaxation. Not true. Meditation does not relax you. What meditation does, if this is what you're choosing to do with it, is teach you to become so familiar with relaxed you, that relaxed you, this kind of calm mind, starts to show up without as much effort, more regularly. We can it starts to become more of our default, right? It's a learned familiarity. And this, throughout our whole life, goes both ways with mental familiarity. Think about something like getting frustrated. This is an example I like to use because it's very visceral, right? None of us have to try to get frustrated. Nobody ever, I've never heard anyone say, hey, hang on a second. I'm just in such a good mood that it's taken me a little while to get angry. But hang on a second. Let me just... right? We don't do that. It just happens, right? We're having a great day. We're walking. Something happens and we're annoyed, right? Hey, Dodie. So this is not because we're some like inherently angry person. It's just our mind has had a lot of practice getting annoyed. And so in certain situations, our mind's like, God, I know what to do. Got you. Just happens like this. Now, being super patient doesn't come as naturally. Sometimes we do have to say, oh, hold on a second, I need like to create some space, or I need some time to think about this, right? To be patient about something that might be worrisome or frustrating, right? And this example illustrates how currently it seems like our mind is choosing what it's more familiar with. Just by living, our mind becomes familiar with things over here and not over there, and vice versa. Meditation is your chance to start to dictate what you want to become familiar with. It's not the only way to do this, but it is a very good way, in my opinion, to start to dictate what do you want your mind to be familiar with. What do you want to be so familiar with that it just kind of shows up? Being kinder, more kind to yourself, a better self-image, less anxious, all of these things, they all utilize the exact same methodology to accomplish them with meditation. And that is training in familiarity. Cool? So, I know it's a kind of a bit of a spiel that I do every week, but it's really important. That's the most important, to recognize that like what we're doing here isn't some like magic trick. You all are already amazing meditators, because the only thing we're doing here is becoming familiar with stuff, and you guys are familiar with a lot of things, right? Cool. So all well and good. How do we do this? How do we meditate? So when you start your meditation journey or whatnot, usually we start with something called breathing meditation. That's what we're going to do in a few moments here. Breathing meditation is a meditation on your breath. It is a intentional concentration on your own breath, exclusively on your breath. It is more, if you want to get fancy, it's called single-pointed concentration, right? Single-pointed, one, concentrating, thinking, right? We're solely thinking about one thing. We're concentrating exclusively on something. And we're using our breath as the object of our concentration here, the object of our meditation. But anything can be. Opening a can can be a meditation if we choose, I'm going to focus on this single-pointedly. And then I'll explain a little bit later about how we go about doing that. But the idea here is that we are not multitasking. Now, y'all are amazing multitaskers. Every one of you. Me too. Even though you may not consider yourself to be an adept multitasker, you are. We are multitasking every moment of our life. Right now, I am moving my hands, not just because I'm Italian from New York. I'm moving my hands while talking. My mind has to do both of these things. My mind is move the hands, but also talk. This is what our mind is doing all day long. It is juggling. It is multitasking. And so, by virtue of that, our mind is kind of default is multitasking. Why? Because that's what it's familiar with. Your mind does what your mind is familiar with. And, there's all sorts of societal influences that encourage multitasking. And multitasking is great for getting stuff done. But there's also value in not multitasking. And that's what meditation is about. Actively choosing to not multitask, to focus on one thing so exclusively that all the other things that your mind is wait, what about this? What about tomorrow? What about work? Those start to fade a little bit. Naturally, we relax a little bit, less to think about. If I was hey, juggle 100 bowling pins, you're yeah. And then I was hey, just throw one up and down and catch it. You're oh, it's way easier. Right? I can't juggle at all, so it's all tough. So that is kind of what we're after here. We're going to single-pointedly concentrate on our breath, and to the point where all the busyness in our mind starts to fade a little bit, and we get to chill, relax. Okay, so meditation is only 3 steps. Step 1, we're choosing to focus single-pointedly on something. And we're setting an intention of what to do with this, right? So what I mean by this is, for this example, for the breathing meditation, we're going to set the intention for the next couple of minutes. I'm going to focus exclusively on my own breath to the best of my ability. That's it. We're planting this kind of promise to ourselves in our mind. That way, when our mind inevitably starts to think about other stuff, we can recall, we have a little compass to get back on the trail, right? And this intention setting might seem unnecessary, but we accidentally meditate a lot, right? You've ever been in the zone or whatever? This is a meditative experience, but it happens somewhat involuntarily. So we want to set an intention to show our mind we can choose to do this and come back to it. Okay. So that's step 1. Step 2 is we're going to act on that, focus on our breath. And whenever you notice that your attention is no longer exclusively on your own breath, and I do mean whenever, if you're oh, I have an itch, there you go. That you're no longer exclusively focused on your breath. If you're snap out of it in 3 minutes, you've been thinking about work, right? That's also you having drifted. It doesn't matter. Whenever you notice that your mind is no longer single-pointedly focused on your own breath, we're just going to say not right now to those thoughts. We're going to put them to the side. And then with those thoughts to the side, we're going to bring our attention back to breathing. Doesn't matter how many times you need to do this. This is the practice. choosing to focus on something single pointedly, noticing when your attention drifts, bringing your attention back. Cool? Okay, let's do it. So you'll notice I am not I am not seated on the floor. I'm in a chair. You too can be in a chair. You can also lay down. You had a long day? Go ahead, lay down. You like being on the floor? Do that. I don't know what else you want to do. You're gonna hang upside down on like a bar? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Just you want to be relatively comfortable, because if you're not, then you're going to be thinking about how uncomfortable you are, and that's going to be an added distraction for this, right? So get comfy. Go ahead and close your eyes, and I'm going to guide us through about a 5-minute breathing meditation. Okay. Whenever you start a meditation, it can be helpful to first take a moment and check in. Ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? What is my mind up to? Maybe your mind's feeling a little lethargic, tired after a long day. Maybe it's feeling energized, excited. Whatever it is, whatever you're feeling right now is perfect. We are not trying to change anything here. We are just noticing. Practicing being an observer of our own mind. This is a practice in mindfulness. Mindfulness is an active awareness of your own thoughts, moment to moment, for the purpose of being able to respond skillfully to those thoughts. Take a moment and check in. Having done that, you can now set an intention, a little promise to yourself. And that intention is for the next few minutes. You want to focus single-pointedly, exclusively on your own breath to the best of your ability. Just let that promise sit in your mind. This is your only task right now. All other things can wait. For the next few minutes, it's just you and your breath. With that intention set, you can now act on it. Turn your full, undivided attention to your own breath. Breathing in, breathing out. Very gently, very naturally. There is no need to change how you normally breathe here. You don't have to take big, deep in-breaths or forcefully exhale air. However you normally breathe, that's what I want you to do. In and out. Gently, naturally. At some point, sometimes rather quickly, you may notice that your mind is starting to drift. It's no longer exclusively focused on your breath. Maybe you're thinking about something that you have to do later after this class ends, or something you have to do tomorrow at work. Whenever you notice that your mind has drifted in this manner, we can just say, not right now to those thoughts. We'll get to them later. Actually imagine yourself picking up those thoughts, placing them beside you. And with those thoughts placed beside you, you can turn your full, undivided attention back to breathing in and breathing out. Very gently, very naturally. Single pointedly focused on each moment of each breath. What's it like to follow your own breath moment to moment? We breathe so many times a day, and yet we don't really think about it. What if we do? What if we really plug in to breathing? Every time you breathe in, can you watch, visualize, imagine that air being pulled from the atmosphere into your body? Can you feel it travel through your body into your lungs, where your chest expands to make room for this air? Can you feel the energy it provides? Breathing in. What about when you exhale? Can you follow the air moment to moment as well? Can you feel your chest contract? Feel the air move back through your body. Watch it as it leaves your body and begins to dissipate, mixing with all the other pockets of air. Breathing out. You breathe countless times a day. And all of these subtleties that you just noticed, all of these subtle interests, joys that you just noticed, they're always there. Every time you breathe, they're always there waiting for us to notice them, to enjoy them, if we choose to do so. Just by focusing single pointedly on something as simple as our breath, we're able to find subtle joys about that activity. How wonderful. Keep bringing your attention back to your breath as many times as you need to. This little loop choosing to focus single pointedly on your own breath, noticing when your attention drifts, bringing your attention back. That's meditation. You are meditating right now. You're training your mind to tap into its natural peacefulness. You're training your mind to focus on what you want to focus on. And right now, in this moment, the only thing that you want to focus on is breathing in, breathing out. Very gently, very naturally. For the last few moments, just take a little time for you. Enjoy sitting here with your breath. Okay, when you are ready, you can open your eyes. Hello. Sorry, I'm a little stuffed up. So, congrats, you did it. You're a meditator. That is meditation, and it was 3 steps. Doesn't mean it was super simple, right? You know, anything newish, requires a lot of concentration, right? That's the whole point of familiarity, of what we talked about earlier. And if meditation is not something you've been doing for a long time, then it's not something you're familiar with, and thus will require a lot of concentration. Oh, I got to notice when my breath is, I'm not focused on my breath. Oh, I was thinking about work, right? We have to like really concentrate on that. But just like anything else, over time, with practice, consistent practice, this becomes like second nature. And we're able to settle in more quickly, which allows us to use this in a lot of different scenarios. Hey, Andre, glad you're here. Cool. So that's breathing meditation. And if you are new, honestly, I recommend just doing that. And we was probably a little longer than 5 minutes. I'm a little long-winded. But it doesn't matter how long you do this. Okay, this is something I think that's really important, and we're going to talk a bit about this today. We often have the impression that in order to meditate effectively, we have to like do it for like an hour, or like I don't know, whatever. No, there is no preset time that you need to hit. The way to become more familiar with this is consistency, not time of the session, but the consistency of you doing this, right? Like learning to ride a bike. We don't learn it in one time. Doesn't matter how long we're out there. Better to do little bits. Cool? I don't know. Maybe you guys are like expert bike riders. Expert bike riders, pie makers. That's 2 good skills. Okay, so we're going to move on to our topic for today. And our topic is about starting to recognize how personal meditation is and how unique your practice is, right? And really what I mean by that is kind of analyzing 2 things. One is we'll start with talking about how we're always comparing ourselves to other people, right? And this is a huge part of our life, not just in meditation. Like from the moment we're cognitive, this starts, right? And we think about, when we're in school. I mean, think back to when we were in school, or if you're, still there. We're constantly comparing ourselves to others. Oh, this person, they answer that quick. They must really know it. I had to take a while. I guess I'm not as smart, right? Like these are the things that we think about, right? When we're at work, maybe somebody doesn't react the way that we want, and we start like, did they not like what I did? Like, oh, like, we're constantly comparing in all activities, right? And this has some benefits. I mean, it can help us learn, right? We see, oh, that's how they're doing it. Maybe let me try that and see if that works for me. That's really cool and healthy. What is not cool and healthy is when we instinctively think that is the way, right? So a lot of this has to do with what I'll call pacing. And when we hear that word pacing, we think like a pace car, like a race, or like running. What pace are you running at, right? And it's a pretty good comp. I like to think about pacing as the cadence at which you think or do. The cadence at which you think or do. It's not just about movement. Mental pacing is a thing. Pacing is a exploration into you and what cadence of learning, experimenting, trying, thinking, all of that. What is your perfect cadence? Now, what kind of things can alter our pace or our cadence? Excitement, right? And we're like, somebody says something like, oh, that's me. Here's me getting inspired, right? And then we're like, oh, that's a great idea. And then we like start to think really fast. We're going to let's do this and that, right? So getting excited can alter our cadence. Fear can also alter our cadence. Sometimes stop that thing right in its tracks, right? I don't want to do that. I don't know. I might fail. Looks hard. Comparing to others is also something that can alter our cadence. Right? And altering our cadence isn't necessarily a bad thing, as long as we are choosing to alter it, knowing, like as sort of like an experimentation, right? Where it starts to get a little tricky is when we're using somebody else's cadence as our own. And that is true. We're here to talk about meditation, but that is, true in, I think, a lot of aspects of life. For meditation, we often will think, oh, this person, look, my friend my friend Jim meditates. Do you know that? And Jim meditates half hour every morning. Wow. That's what I got to do. Right? So if we have a friend who's maybe meditates, and we kind of like look to their routine as what maybe we should be doing, or even me, like you're like, oh, if Keith meditates X minutes a day, that's what I'll do. It doesn't really work like that with meditation. And I think this is where meditation can be really tricky for us, because we as humans, we want to do it right. Right? We're like, Keith, just tell me how long I got to do this. Just tell me. And meditation is something that's very personal. It's really about finding you, deep. And a big part of you is the cadence at which you think and do. So this is a huge aspect of meditation, and it's a big component of the progress we'll make in meditation. Because when we alter our cadence, we run the risk of burnout, right? Or discouragement, things like that. And so what we're going to do here today is a really cool meditation. And this meditation kind of is like the second aspect of kind of finding you in meditation. And this is going to be a meditation about being honest with yourself. And everyone's like, oh, I don't like doing that. What I mean by that is we're going to ask ourselves, why am I here? Not on Earth. That's a bigger question. You could do that on your own time. Why do you want to meditate? Right? And then we're going to continue asking why. So we'll have an answer for that. And then we'll ask why to that answer. And I think the biggest kind of caveat I'll put on this meditation is that I find it's really helpful if you don't think too hard. Right? Whatever your first kind of like, whatever your like instinct is. If I was like, what's your favorite food? And you're like, let me see, I got chicken, right? Just be like, just whatever comes to mind, right? And then just sit with that. Oh, I guess it's pizza. It is. And then why? Why is pizza my favorite? And then we kind of sit with whatever our kind of instinctive answer is for that. And what this is doing is taking surface level insight into something and starting to find the root reasons, the root causes, the root of why, right? And we can use this meditation for a lot of different things. If we're having maybe we're having a frustrating situation or not, whatever. It literally can be used for everything. But here, in terms of like pacing and stuff, it can also be used to kind of find our cadence and to check to make sure we are being true to our cadence. It is a foray into something that's really important in meditation, and that is being honest with yourself. If you do not have time to meditate for 30 minutes each day, that is totally 100% awesomely fine. What about 2 minutes? What about 1 minute? What about 30 seconds? It doesn't matter. The goal is consistency, and to do that, we want to be honest with ourselves, to look at our life, our situation now. Our situation may change, right, throughout our life, but right now, what is the cadence at which I can do this? Cool? All right, so we're going to do this little why meditation, as it's called. And because we're here focusing on meditation, we're going to do it on why you want to meditate, or why this is important to you. But again, this exact same thing can be used for analyzing anything. Cool? Okay. Go ahead and close your eyes. Hopefully you're still in your very comfy seat. Let's take a moment and check in. How are you feeling? What's your mind up to right now? This is not a comparison. Before is done. Only now. What is your mind up to? Having checked in, you can now set an intention for yourself. This time, your intention is to focus single pointedly on the questions that I will be asking you, to answer them honestly, to not overthink. Going to do that to the best of our ability for the next few moments. Let that promise sit in your mind. This is your goal. This is your only task. All other things can wait. Just you and this why meditation. And with that intention set, we can act on it. I'm going to ask you a question, and whatever comes to mind, whatever your instinctual answer is, I want you to sit with that answer. Sit with that answer in your mind, focus on it single pointedly, become familiar with it. And that question is, why do you want to have a meditation practice? Why do you want to meditate? Whatever your answer is perfect. Let it sit in your mind. This is your tier 1 reason. And now, for whatever answer you had, I'd like you to ask why. We're drilling deeper. And then the new answer is now sitting in your mind, one level deeper. Once again, take that answer and ask why. Sit with this new realization one level deeper. And once again, ask why. Embrace your answer. Let it sit in your mind. One level deeper. And then one last question. For the last time, ask yourself, why? Embrace this answer. Let it sit in your mind. Let this answer be the object of your meditation, your sole focus for the next few moments. This answer is one of the core reasons you are here, that you want to learn meditation. We've gone one level deeper. Okay. Whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. Now, I know that's very different than breathing meditation, but also not. Like, it's the same steps, right? We're choosing to focus on something. In this case, it was this activity. We're noticing when we're not doing that, and we're like, oh, I was thinking about work. Come back to what Keith's talking about. Right? It's the same thing. So this is an example of how we can use meditation in different ways. And in this meditation, I think it's super cool because it is an accessible way for you to kind of check, is my reason, is the surface level reason the core reason? Or are there other ones, right? Are there things that actually are the root reason? And what I'm seeing up here is just the branches of the tree. Yes, Georgette, you can apply this to basically anything. I do this meditation a lot with people who are dealing with a lot of like traumatic things or anxiety. It's actually a really interesting one for anxiety. And look, this meditation is not easy. It's hard to think about this stuff because sometimes it can be painful and like I don't want to think about what makes me anxious. But you can really gain some interesting insight. So something like anxiety, for me personally, I have that's how I got into meditation for like clinical anxiety. And one of the things that I have a phobia about itching. That's my surface level, right? That's my phobia. Why? We can start to gain some interesting insight into this thing that we think is the core reason. And by doing that, it almost like lessens the power that this thing has over us in terms of like anxiety, because we're like, oh, well, that's not really the reason, right? Deeper, deeper, deeper. So this is a cool meditation to do. You can try it on your own. You don't need me. You just ask yourself why 5 times or so, and you can do that as many times as you want. Doesn't there's no like don't like it's not like, oh, after 5 stop. Just, you choose, right? You set your pace. So that's it for today. Hopefully you enjoyed today's class. And hopefully you give this meditation a try on your own. If you did enjoy today, awesome. I'm happy about that. Come on back next week. We're going to do something else meditation related. And thank you to anyone who subscribed during the live stream or chooses to do so at a later time. I really appreciate that. It's very helpful to me. Let's other people know, like, hey, this is interesting. Maybe you want to check this out. So thank you for your support there. And if you are like, hey, I kind of love meditation. Like, you know what? I love meditation. If you're really interested in meditation and you would like to pursue maybe like some private instruction, I do offer that. It's all done virtually. It's very laid back. So if that is something that's interesting to you, you can email me and we'll find a time that'll work. I'm going to give my email now. It is keith@meditationbreaks.com, spelt correctly. Now, that's my email, but you can email me for other things besides if you're interested in doing a one-on-one. You just had a question about something. Let me know. Let me catch up. Patrick, thank you. Georgette, yeah. Anxiety. I think maybe next week we'll start. Like, I usually teach anxiety in like a 2-week thing because we haven't done it in a while. I don't, unless we have, and I'm forgetting. But I think that'd be a good one. Rosa, thank you. Cynthia, thank you. I'm glad. Yeah, this is a super awesome meditation. Definitely one that I think keep in your back pocket. Thanks, Janice. Thanks, Patricia, Beverly, and Andre. Thank you all. I really do appreciate you all being here. So many of you come every week. And it really means a lot to me. I love teaching, and I couldn't do that without you guys. And I appreciate you taking time out of your day to be here and meditate with me. So thank you. Have a great week. Hope to see you all next time. All right.